Well, then 1992 rolls around. You had a couple big cases then. Leona Helmsley, a.k.a. the Queen of Mean, who was a billionaire who was convicted of tax evasion and also not paying a bunch of people and so forth. She originally had 16 years for tax evasion, and you reduced that to essentially 21 months. Now, she was a very hated person. I remember this. Like the whole world hated her at this time.
And they were right. Like this? And they were right. She was not a nice person. I can tell you just one story. I was having breakfast with her in a hotel, and the tea that I had ordered came, and there was some liquid in the saucer, and she threw the saucer in the cup against the granite floor, and it broke into dozens of pieces. And she then said to the young waiter, "Now get on your knees and beg me for my job." And I walked out and I said, "I'll never be with you again, except in court." I didn't like her. I didn't like many of my clients, but you have to defend them. Look, Donald Trump, I didn't vote for him. I voted against him twice. I intend to vote against him a third time. It's all about the law for me. It's all about the Constitution. It's all about civil liberties. It's not about personalities.
Well, that same year, you represented Mia Farrow. I think I'm
Mia
mispronouncing her name.
Mia Farrow in her case against Woody Allen. Yeah.
Mia Farrow, sorry.
Farrow.
Now, number one, based on what you know about the case, do you think that Woody Allen sexually abused his daughter, or do you think that the whole thing was made up as a money grab?
I don't think he did. But I think that it's possible that people on Mia Farrow's side believe he did. But if you ask me, my personal opinion, I do not think he did.
Okay, but you're representing her.
I did, but I don't have to agree with everything that a person says. I represented her in a custody lawsuit, and we prevailed. We won. But that doesn't mean that I have to believe every allegation that she's made. I don't believe that one personally.
Well, there was an allegation that you and her legal team asked Woody Allen for a lump sum payment of $7 million or maybe even $5 million to make this whole thing go away. Is that true?
Well, we negotiated. I can't get into the specifics, but in all these cases, you negotiate. And we negotiated for a lump sum payment that would pay for all the expenses and everything. And obviously, the record shows that it was turned down and it went to court. But negotiations are extremely common in these kinds of custody cases.
And then that next year, in 1993, you represented Mike Tyson. Now, at the time, Mike Tyson was already convicted, so this was an appeal case.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you've said in interviews that Mike Tyson is absolutely innocent.
Absolutely.
Now, I've interviewed Mike before, and we've talked about this whole situation. He talked about his jail time and everything else like that. Why would you say he's absolutely innocent?
Because I've seen the evidence. I've seen the evidence of 4 witnesses who were kept out of the case. I've seen the evidence of medical tests. I've seen all the evidence, and the evidence just points inerringly to his innocence. So I believe he was innocent.
Okay, and you said that there was 4 witnesses who I guess saw Tyson and his accuser like kiss and cuddle with each other before the actual incident.
Yeah.
And why was this left out of the actual courtroom?
Because the judge was a prosecutor. She had previously been a rape prosecutor. She was totally and completely biased, and she just didn't want to admit evidence that would have led the jury to acquit, which I think the jury would have done. And the case was fixed in some ways. The case was ultimately, only did the appeal, and the appeal was decided 2-2. 2 votes to reverse, 2 votes to affirm, or 2 votes to take the case, 2 votes not to take the case. But if they had taken it, they would have reversed. Because the chief judge, who himself had been accused of sexual misconduct, disqualified himself from the case based on a setup. What happened is I was at my Yale Law School reunion talking to my dear friend Stephen Trachtenberg, and this woman came over and started tapping me on the back. And I said, "Excuse me, ma'am, I'm in a conversation." She said, No, this is important. You can't expect that New York logic will win in Indiana. I said, "Well, ma'am, who are you?" She said, "Well, I'm the wife of the Chief Justice." And I said, "I'm sorry, I can't talk to you." The Chief Justice, in my view, sent her to talk to me, and then made up a story that, we had discussed the case. We hadn't discussed the case. And then the chief judge disqualified himself from the case, leading to the 2-2 verdict. It was one of the worst miscarriages of justice that I've seen in my 60 years.
Well, I guess Mike Tyson had actually run out of money.
I continued to defend him without money. I continued to defend him. He paid me some money, and then he couldn't pay. But I have to tell you about Mike. The day he fought his first fight after he left prison, he paid me and all the other lawyers, even some who didn't continue with him. I continued with him because I never drop a case. Because my client runs out of money, I feel that I have an ethical obligation to continue the case as long as the client can't afford it. If the client refuses to pay, that's one thing. But if he can't afford it, I continue on the case. I've done that in numerous cases.
Any interesting stories while dealing with Mike during this time?
Yeah, I mean, when I met Mike, the night he was about to go into prison, first time, he says to me, "You think I'm innocent?" I said, "I don't know. I wasn't there. I haven't yet read the whole transcript." He said, "Well, all right. What kind of a guy you think I am?" I said, "Mike, please excuse me, but I think you're a schmuck." He said, "You calling me a schmuck?" I said, "Yeah, going up to a hotel room at 3 a.m. with a woman you didn't know, without anybody being there as a witness, that's something a schmuck does." And he turned to his handlers and said, "This guy, Alan, he called me a schmuck. I wish you had called me a schmuck and told me I shouldn't do it. You're hired." So that's how I became his lawyer. And I consider myself now somebody who has high respect for him. He's turned his life around. He's done some very good things.